Hello my friends. Imagine suddenly discovering a time machine that could take you back to save someone dear to you who was murdered by a serial killer. But when you go back, you find that if this person lives, you might never be born. What would you do? That's the concept of the sci-fi movie Time Cut, released this year. Let's dive into the story. The movie begins with a high school student named Summer attending a spring dance with her classmates at a place called Hashed. Outside the venue, her friend Quinn approaches her, expressing surprise at her attendance. Summer admits she wasn't sure she could make it either, especially with the fear surrounding the serial killer. Quinn comforts her over the loss of her best friend Amy, who was murdered by the killer. He asks how she's coping, but before they talk further, their classmate Ethan joins them, teasing Summer that the party wouldn't be complete without her. Ethan leads her inside. At the same time, the police are on their way to shut down the gathering. Meanwhile, a masked figure sneaks into the venue through the back entrance. During the party, Ethan silences the music to honor their friends Amy, Val, and Brian, who were all victims of the Sweetly killer. He shares his hope that the killer is caught and punished. Then, he encourages everyone to celebrate in their memory. Summer, however, feels uncomfortable with how casually others seem to be moving on. Ethan reassures her that the party is meant to help them heal. But when a drink accidentally spills on Summer's clothes, she steps out to clean up. At that moment, the police arrive, criticizing the teens for partying despite the dangers. While the officers shut down the event, Summer encounters the masked killer in the bathroom. She tries to escape and call for help, but no one hears her. The killer catches up and murders her. 20 years later, Summer's sister Lucy is struggling to move on. She's seen as the shining star of her family, but her life feels empty since Summer's death. Lucy receives a call from NASA, informing her she's been accepted into a prestigious training program. She had applied to distract herself from the painful memories surrounding her sister's murder. That fateful day marked the start of the Sweetly killer's spree, claiming 4 teenage lives over 3 days. Lucy decides to face her past by visiting Sweet High School, where Summer was a student. There, she tells her science teacher, Dr. Fleming, about the NASA program. He congratulates her, knowing her passion for space stems from a desire to explore the unknown after her life was overshadowed by loss. Fleming, who taught Summer as well, acknowledges how hard the anniversary must be for Lucy. He advises her not to let life's randomness dictate her future. At home, Lucy finds herself drawn to Summer's room, preserved as it was. Among her sister's belongings, she discovers an anonymous note reading, "I found the freedom you never could," signed with the initial E. The message unsettles her, but she hides it from her mother, who unexpectedly enters the room. Later, Lucy has lunch with her parents. A waitress, Dolores, comments on how much Lucy resembles Summer, upsetting her mother. During the meal, Lucy shares her NASA acceptance, but her parents are reluctant to let her leave for 3 months. Her father suggests a local internship instead, while her mother insists they focus on commemorating Summer. The family visits the site of Summer's murder, a tradition they follow every year. Lucy's mother asks her to place their memorial offering, but Lucy realizes she forgot to bring anything. Searching for something in her bag, she notices a strange light emanating from the room where Summer was killed. Drawn by curiosity, Lucy investigates and discovers an unusual device. Unable to resist, she activates it, triggering a series of mysterious lights and events. Lucy steps outside, feeling a sharp pain as she exits. She looks around, shocked, and notices that her surroundings have changed. She starts believing something unusual has happened when she finds her parents missing. Pulling out her phone, she realizes there's no network signal. Panicked, she runs back to her city, only to notice that the Riverside restaurant, which had been closed for years, is now open. Her disbelief deepens when she sees a signboard indicating the year is 2003. Confused, Lucy decides to visit her school to talk to Mr. Fleming. Upon entering, she notices students wearing outdated clothes and carrying old-style phones. Her shock intensifies when she sees Summer, a girl she recognizes, alive and well. She starts observing her and overhears Summer talking with her friends about going to the mall later that night. Then Ethan arrives, and Lucy overhears him questioning Brian about why she ended their 2-year relationship. Feeling overwhelmed, Lucy decides to visit the science lab and speak to Mr. Fleming. When he sees her, he assumes she's a new student. During their conversation, she asks his thoughts on time travel. Coincidentally, Quinn, a physics prodigy, is present and listens to the discussion. While answering, Mr. Fleming says everyone has dreamed of time travel but warns about its risks. As they speak, a test tube slips from Quinn's hand, shattering on the floor. Apologizing, Quinn wishes he could turn back time to undo his mistake, prompting Lucy to inquire about his interest in time travel. Mr. Fleming introduces Quinn as someone who could provide insights into her situation. Quinn explains the dangers of traveling to the past, emphasizing paradoxes and potential catastrophic effects. During lunch, Lucy sees Ethan and his friends forcing Ken out of school. Curious, she asks Amy about it and learns it's an annual tradition where seniors throw a classmate into the river. As the students gather, Quinn asks the group to stop, but Lucy intervenes and confronts Ethan, punching him to make her point. Quinn, somewhat annoyed, tells her he didn't need anyone to defend him, but Lucy remarks that if this had happened in her time, it would have gone viral on Twitter. Confused, Quinn asks, "What's Twitter?" She tries to explain but realizes it's too futuristic to describe. Determined to prove she's from the future, Lucy shows Quinn her smartphone, explaining its features: face unlock, a combination of a phone, TV, camera, flashlight, and more. Amazed, Quinn assumes it must be $1 million device in the future. He starts asking more questions, including who the US president is, which Lucy finds odd compared to the bigger questions he could have asked. Quinn then inquires about her future life. Lucy explains the prevalence of robots in households, akin to pets, and mentions smart vacuum cleaners that resemble robots. Their conversation is interrupted by Summer, who apologizes to Quinn for her breakup with Ethan due to his behavior. She also asks him about a chemistry assignment. While helping her, Lucy notices Summer finds her face familiar, but Lucy brushes it off, claiming many people say that about her. Later, Lucy and Quinn examine the device that transported her through time. A piece labeled "Sonar" stands out, emitting a faint glow. Lucy insists they find more pieces like it, but Quinn points out the difficulty of acquiring parts from a nuclear research facility. Lucy becomes tense when Quinn asks why the date, April 16, 2003, matters to her. She cryptically responds, asking if he would try to stop a disaster if he knew one was imminent. Quinn advises against altering the past, warning it could erase them from existence. Lucy convinces Quinn to help her retrieve her father's access card to the nuclear facility. They arrive at her home, where Quinn is surprised to learn Summer is her sister. While Lucy sneaks inside to get the card, Quinn waits outside, encountering Summer, who asks for his help with her chemistry assignment. Quinn suggests Lucy, as she's better at science, but Lucy jokingly downplays her skills. Inside, Lucy meets her parents, who are warm and welcoming, inviting her to dinner. During dinner, Summer asks their parents for permission to go to the mall with Lucy and her friends. Her father insists she finishes her homework first, while her mother comments on how her grades have slipped since she stopped studying with Amy due to their falling out. Lucy enjoys the meal, complimenting her mother's cooking and asking if she always cooks like this. Her mother fondly explains that cooking together is their favorite bonding time. This saddens Lucy, as her mother in the future is too busy to participate in family activities. Later, while alone, Lucy becomes visibly upset. Summer notices and asks why she's sad. Lucy explains that her parents are very different from hers in the future, and she feels lucky to see how supportive they are. Summer shares that her mother often criticizes her grades, to which Lucy admits she faces similar treatment, not just for grades but everything. Lucy and Summer are longtime friends. They have a deep friendship where Lucy helps Summer with her homework, as they've known each other for years. One day, Lucy sees Summer's outfit and thinks it looks strange. Summer gives Lucy her clothes to wear, and Lucy starts dressing in them, feeling that she resembles Montana now. Lucy thinks the outfit suits her really well. She then asks Summer about her friends, especially Brian and Val, and Summer tells her that she has known Val since she was 5 years old. Lucy sees Val as a very nice person. Lucy asks Summer if she would try to stop a disaster if she knew it was going to happen, even if it would have a negative effect later on. Summer assures her that she would definitely try to stop it, no matter what. They then talk about the closing time of the mall. Summer tells Lucy that the mall closes at 9, and Lucy, checking the time, sees that it's around 8:30 and decides to leave quickly. Upon arriving at the mall, Lucy meets Quinn and asks about Val and Brian. She gives Quinn her clothes, and at the same time, Val is in the fitting room, trying on clothes. Brian is waiting outside when a mysterious figure, wearing a disguise resembling a mannequin, kills him. Val, in shock, runs out of the fitting room and is horrified to see Brian stabbed in the neck. The figure tries to attack her, and she narrowly escapes, only to fall down the stairs. Lucy, on the other hand, seeks help from mall security, but the disguised figure kills a security guard and leaves. Quinn arrives with Lucy and sees the crime scene. They decide to help Lucy, and she stays with Quinn on his boat until she can go back home. Lucy is aware that the killer has become more dangerous, and his victim count is rising, especially since the security guard wasn't supposed to die. She confirms that the killer is a serial murderer and that there are more victims to come. The situation worsens when Lucy learns that her mother suspects Ethan, though Ethan had an alibi at the time of the crimes. The police question Lucy's involvement, but she is advised not to get involved until they can fix the timeline. The next morning, Lucy decides to visit her parents' house to retrieve her father's card that will allow her to access the nuclear facility. While there, Summer questions her about the disaster Lucy had mentioned earlier, and Lucy explains that she tried to stop it but couldn't. Lucy eventually admits that she's from the future, and to prove it, she shows Summer a message she found in Ethan's room. However, Summer doesn't recognize the message. Lucy then tells Summer that she is her sister from the future, and despite Summer being skeptical, Lucy insists she isn't lying. Lucy asks Quinn for help in fixing the timeline so she can return to her own time. Quinn talks about the loneliness he feels since the deaths of his parents and his desire to improve his future, hinting at his own regrets and dreams. When Summer arrives, Lucy tells her about her future, how she will be successful, have many friends, and marry a handsome man. Lucy then talks about the murders of Val and Brian, and Summer is horrified when she learns that the police were unable to solve the crimes. Lucy tells Summer that they can't interfere in the past, but Summer insists on knowing who the next victim will be. Lucy reveals that the next victim will die in the evening at the Maritime Museum. They all agree to try and prevent it, but Quinn warns that intervening could lead to a third world war. Summer, determined to save her friend, sneaks into the museum, facing the killer without fear. Meanwhile, Quinn and Lucy sneak into the nuclear facility to retrieve a piece of the time machine that will allow them to fix the timeline. They're surprised to discover a security guard murdered at the facility, and they realize that the killer is also from the future. As the group hurries to save the next victim, Quinn is shocked by Lucy's decision to save Summer, realizing that when she got close to her, she felt like a true sister, not just the daughter of her parents. The plan is to stop the killer and fix the timeline so they can save Summer and return to their future. With their plan in motion, they encounter the killer in the museum, where Summer confronts him without hesitation, drawing him away from his target. They manage to escape with the victim and return to Quinn's house, where Lucy expresses her happiness that no one died during the rescue. They now prepare to save the next victim. Later, Lucy learns that her existence is tied to Summer's death, and while Summer's parents tried to fill the void, they failed. Lucy tells Summer that her life has no real value if Summer isn't alive, but she can't imagine a future without her. Lucy then shares her plan to stop the killer and return to her time. Before going to the lab, Lucy has a final conversation with Summer, letting her know the importance of her existence. At Quinn's lab, Lucy begins working on the time machine, but she's caught off guard when she finds out Quinn has feelings for her. He explains that he's not just helping her because of his duty to fix the timeline, he cares about her. Together, they face the dangerous situation that lies ahead. They manage to enter the nuclear facility and steal the piece needed to fix the timeline. With the killer closing in, they use the time machine to travel back to the past. Quinn faces the killer in the present, and Lucy finally understands the full scope of the plan, fixing the timeline, saving lives, and ensuring that she exists in a better future. By the end, Lucy succeeds in saving Summer and ensures that her family will have a happier future, free of the shadows of past tragedies.